welcome to Lead Live, reminding you of your personal genius and how you think in order to actualize what you desire.
Hello. It's an honor to be with you another moment in time. I feel extremely fortunate, not only because I have this platform and the ability to communicate with so many of you across this planet, and I appreciate the fact that you give us airtime, space within your environment, allowing us to add to the quality of your lives, influence your mindset. And always, we want to add value. Our guests that we have on Lead Live, and Lead, just for those who may be new to this broadcast today, stands for Leadership Excellence and Achievement on Demand. Why? Because fundamentally, we believe that everyone ought to be manifesting the power of being the CEO of their own lives. And certainly, as we work in support of our own organizations, the organizations that others have created, we want to make certain that we're leading with distinction. And as I was thinking about today, I was thinking about the guest that we had initially scheduled who had to reschedule to December. So she will be here. And the topic will be around her genius and how she elevates the speeches, stories, magnificence of women. I was just smiling, thinking about humanity overall and thinking about men, certainly, especially feeling a deep sense of just burning desire to just honor all the women that preceded us, that will succeed us, and that are part of who we are at this moment in time. I had the honor of witnessing a birth. And one of my goddaughters, oh my gosh, she gave me the gift to be in the delivery room this year. And I knew that as women, we're remarkable, we're powerful. To see a child come through this major vessel, a humble spirit. Yes, she's brilliant, my goddaughter, just like my other nieces and nephews and godchildren. She's got own special brilliance. That's just outstanding. To let another spirit come through her, thanks to her partner in her. Oh my God. Zach came out and I was overwhelmed. This huge being, the spirit in human form, the power of women to create, to co-create. And that's what we do all day long. And when we do it in a way that honors our capacity to be in partnership, to function with integrity, to care just because we can for everything and everyone. Wow. And that's what I saw in that birth. So the topic we have today honors another spirit, another woman, who years ago used the word level up when we were planning, I was planning a conference and I want her and others to be part of prior to COVID hitting, which interrupted everything. We still will do it in the future, but at a time when we know we can convene the magic that everyone who will come to the table, who will come to that space has. But she used the word level up, and I was like, never heard of it? Sounds weird. But the passion with which she conveyed it, it resonated. I just didn't have a definition. And it's so interesting. Fast forward, that leveling up was just kind of in its infancy, and there's even organized groups by 2010 around leveling up in terms of leadership. So I asked her recently, I said, what did you mean by that? And she was so, I mean, I of course I read about it. I looked online. I gathered some facts, but I wanted to know what was it that led her to say, this is really about leveling up. And she went beyond to say, just push ahead, intensify, lift, really turn it up, whatever one is engaged in order to progress to the next level. She said, growing at a more rapid pace, playing big, and as big as you can, taking it to the next level. Well, when we think about the many, numerous recorded folks, or folks who recorded in history, throughout human history, who've made a difference, they have demonstrated the power of leveling up. And then there's many who were never recorded. And we know that history would not have occurred had they not engaged in a way that demonstrated leadership, and leadership where they just took responsibility and moved at a pace that seemed non-rational or irrational, and yet definitely demonstrated not only their burning desire, but something fundamental that we believe are the key, among the key preconditions to leveling up and doing it at a massive level. It makes me think about Einstein. I wish I had that letter. I should find that letter. He wrote a letter to his daughter, really illuminating his regret that he didn't engage more. But in the process of it, doing it, sharing a secret that he asked her not to convey to the rest of us until we had advanced more. He didn't believe we were where we need to be. Well, he clearly wasn't. So, of course, he was projecting. Quite frankly, we had not advanced. And we can arguably say that too much of what we experience on this planet is not a reflection of advancement. And yet, we needed those words that he conveyed to that child that are embedded in my Angelou statement that what is this life about if not unconditional love? It's about love. And that letter he wrote to his daughter was about love. And so as I thought about the preconditions and I thought about my own personal life, as well as the lives of many other people I've been fortunate to observe, to work with, to just be in partnership with. And the reasons why they were able to level up in a powerful way is because they lived. They were living authentically. They weren't hiding. And in fact, anyone who's reasonable would say they should have hid because they illuminated their authenticity, their genius. People saw them as targets and tried to take them out because for whatever reason, the nature of who they were was unacceptable because it didn't fit into societal norms. And I want you to think about, folks, wherever you're at, in a village, in a city, in a rural, suburban area, wherever you're at, in the US, outside the US, around the world, think about that. Think about even you, where you go to a place that really is authentic you, and other people say, well, that feels uncomfortable. You should change. Or you shouldn't pursue that. You should change. Ah, that's not reasonable. You should change. Or I don't think we're ready for that. You should change. It's not possible. It's never been done before. You should change. If the genius that really reflects our human nature and really even deeper, our spiritual nature isn't about creating anew, I don't know what it's about. So the power that we have, and I'm even off my script. I've got this long script, but I'm off my script. The power that we have to live, to leverage, to love. I want you to see those words. I want you to reflect on those words because we believe these are core to leveling up. Living, not shrinking so that you can fit into places that people say you belong or spaces people say you belong. I saw something earlier on one of the social media platform, LinkedIn, primarily for folks who are professionals, but others are there as well across the planet. And this young professional who is a CEO and founder of her community of 7, she wrote, I've been told at work, stay in your lane. You're not a very good writer, and other kind of negative nonsense. That's Lane Fan. I want to honor her. And what did she do? She revealed this. She says, stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. And someone who was quoted during Nelson Mandela's presidential inaugural address, he honored Marianne Williamson. There was a beautiful poem that is exacting about don't play small in order to make everybody else feel good. In fact, when you do that, you minimize people's understanding of their ability to also play big, be bold. Let's go back to that. Live, leverage, love. Live just because you can. You're here for it. I think about my great nephew, godson, Zach. I don't want him to play small. I think about another nephew, Xander. I don't want him to play small. I think about a niece, Amber. I don't want her to play small. I think about, oh my God, Taya. I think about Shauna. I think about Sienna. I think about Jackson. I think about, oh my God, Jeshua. I have over 56 nieces and nephews and 7 godchildren. I think about all of them every day. And if I don't live, I'm not a good example to them. If I don't live authentically, oh my God, I've undermined the nature of being a model, being an aunt, being a godmother, being a presence in their life, whether they see me regularly or not. When I think about Antonio, when I think about Chris, when I think about, oh my goodness, Mia, when I think about all of these folks, when I think about Bridget, when I think about Deanna, Latoya, oh my God, I can just go on and on, let alone my brothers and sisters, people I don't even know who are part of my bloodline, people I've embraced to make certain that they're part of my family. You, when I think about what's the essence of why are we here if not to live? Why are we here if not to be authentic? Listen, how many people in the US alone walked with their feet and said, no longer, I'm out of the workforce? I have a sense of what a healthy lifestyle looks like now. 12 million left to create something new. I'm expecting that they're going to explode and create something that we can't even imagine right now because they're choosing to lead and lead with distinction. And some of those may come back to the workforce, but wherever they choose to be, they're leading. They're not choosing to do something because society says you must do X, Y, and or Z. They're choosing. And that's one of the powerful things we have as humans is the ability to choose. Decision is one of the foremost things that we do. The person who makes a decision pretty efficiently is less likely to change that decision when they're a leader, an effective leader. If they do change it, it's after a lot of consideration. The person who makes a decision takes them a long time. They're deliberating, they're looking at all the facts and let me be very clear. We need to assess matters before we make a decision. If we're taking an enormous amount of time, whether that is a month or a year or whatever, and we make a decision, we're more likely to change that decision. The degree to which we ground ourselves in knowledge, we're constantly growing, we're receiving, we're learning anew, we're connecting new information to our pre-existing schema. So we are able to expand our understanding in our base. We're growing. What is life if not love? How do we experience unconditional love? I think foremost through growth. Through growth. And through what else? It's part of growth. Through having faith. And what are the 5 tenets of the wealth equation for LEADLIVE? It's part of our team. It's faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. Let's come back to this. So why level up? Well, I think I've kind of inferred it, if not stated it, because you can. Because you deserve to live and live Literally, enjoy it now. Not hopefully 40 years from now when you've retired. Enjoy now. Not tomorrow when you hope something else will be moved aside. Now we're only promised now. We don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. And that's why I prepare and then I just give you what I have. And that's why I encourage all of us to prepare, to be prepared, and then make a decision pretty efficiently. Stick to it. Don't waver. Let it come to fruition, whatever that is. Start with a vision, a big vision for your life. Can you imagine just dreaming big in any way you want to, unencumbered by anything, even a lot of messaging from childhood, from your adult experiences, from people you love who love you, but their constraints, they're telling you what they know, and what they know is only what they know. Can you imagine dreaming bigger than anyone can imagine? Well, that's why we have developments throughout human history, because someone, some woman, some man, these people chose to think big, and some of them literally were crucified because of it, were harmed. Their whole families and villages and whole communities were taken out because of it. But that genius of the human, that spiritual essence, has to grow. Doesn't matter what nonsense is happening around the planet. Let me just tell you something. I don't think I'm any more special than anyone. I'm just as special as everyone else. And I fundamentally believe that we're on the path to greatness. And yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that undermines us. There's politicking, there's wars, there's destruction, there's issues, I think this planet is going to either get rid of us because we have not cleaned ourselves up, or we're going to clean ourselves up so that we're part of this ecosystem. Greatness is the path. We either show up and show out and are part of it, or we'll be left behind. I humbly believe that. Everything I see, and we all see, if we allow ourselves the time to reflect, we all see. Some of us are afraid of what we see. We all see. When we look at the end, oh my God, it's remarkable. It's incredible. So when you think about leveling up, level up to get there with people, or at least to get there internally. Take the time to be expansive in your thinking. Take the time to be expansive in your feelings. Open that heart. I know it's hard. I know all too well. I can tell some devastating stories that I've experienced. I can tell other people's devastating stories who worked through those painful experiences and came out on the other end. I firmly believe that we're never given anything that's too difficult that we can't recover from. We just need to ensure that we give ourselves the support we need, that either we get from within, we get in addition from without, in order to get there. Open the mind to possibilities, free the heart to be able to receive. And let me just remind you, and there's a series of texts I'm going to share at the end, or we're going to share at the end, thanks to Jet. And that is, unless we address the heart, I don't care what's happening with the mind. I don't care what people say, the remarkable philosophers who are right. We think into reality, we think and we create, and we think into results, all that, whether we're looking at Think and Grow Rich, etc. At the core, though, they talk about burning desire. At the core, though, they talk about the subconscious. At the core, though, they talk about intuition, which is a mental faculty. That intuition literally relies on that heart energy. So when we have the heart open, then whatever we have in our mind, the likelihood of it happening, because we're putting out the vibration and the universe responds accordingly, oh my God, get out the way. Nothing can stop you from actualizing. And that's what the folks who are successful, some of them look like you. Some of them look like me. All of them look like us. When we're talking about humans, I know there's an illusion that somehow we're different and we're all uniquely, remarkably different, and there's many races. That's all a human construct. At the beginning and end of the day, we're all one. I know it's hard to believe it. We'll get back to recognizing that. Right now, we're in the midst of all this nonsense, and we're playing with the nonsense and believing that inherently all the females over here, all the males over there, all the blacks over there, all the whites over there, all the Asians over there, all the Latinos over there, all the Native people over there, all the Pacific Islanders. I mean, whatever categories, all the Africans, all the Europeans, all the Asians, all, all the Latinos, all the Canadians, all the Chinese, all the. Listen, the planet lets us know that it doesn't really care what our ethnicities are, our cultures are. We can leverage those to our benefit and honor what works for us and add value. But quite frankly, at the beginning and the end of the day, what matters is functioning, I believe, in a way that allows us to live freely. That allows us to leverage one another. That allows us to love. Oh my God. I think of the foundation of it all is unconditional love. How do you have unconditional love without leveraging? How do you have unconditional love without living? I think they're all interrelated. All interrelated. So, why level up? Enhance conditions overall? Definitely. As a leader, where you're a leader of an organization or with a division within an organization or a center, or you're leading in the civic arena, however you're leading in your household with your family. The degree to which you're able to see the possibilities. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that family, those children. You see their possibilities. You want to grow. You want to understand how to cultivate them. You want to be able to say yes. You want to, guard against saying anything that negates that spirit. You want it to be manifest. You want it to live. Wow. Same thing in a business. Your business. You want people to thrive. You want to guard against negating anyone. You want them to understand that they can grow. Yeah, this person may not be effective for that job, but maybe there's another position. Maybe there's a partner organization where you can help that person because they've got strengths in areas that you don't need, but this other organization does. You're running a big business, a corporation. You've got all these people, thousands of people all over the planet. Oh my God, what awesome opportunity to live with integrity, to demonstrate what it means to care at the deepest level so that people are just compelled to produce, design, to create, to solve problems, to ensure that the organization adds greater value. And you don't have to even worry about branding, about marketing, because the people are doing it in remarkable ways. The organizations that understand that at the core, when you free the life up, there's no stopping people. When you leverage people's strengths, expertise, connections, oh my God, the leveling up is just wow. When you display unconditional love, you use love language that's appropriate for people. Everyone's unique in their own way in terms of the human needs, the human predispositions, etc., the wiring. Yes, we're all human. Yes, we're all one. But there's unique ways, and that's the genius of the great spirit of life itself, to give us this diversity so we can leverage each other by design. So when we love unconditionally, we're honoring each special person. So we say, oh my God, that person is disabled because they're dyslexic or they're in a wheelchair. Probably no more disabled than the person who is not in a wheelchair and not dyslexic. They probably have strengths that you and I don't have. And wonder who's disabled. So Paradigm shifts when we're thinking in terms of authenticity and we're living that way. The paradigm shifts when we understand the power and the importance of leveraging all that is life. The paradigm shifts when we recognize the powerful, the absolute, infinite power of unconditional love. So I've just been describing the preconditions from a humble perspective. So, what am I talking about? The importance of modeling, evidencing. I'm talking about, as my colleague said earlier, language. No, she's not on the show, but I'm hearing her voice. Language, speaking into existence exactly what you want. Being clear and only speaking that. It's so easy to say, "Oh my God, all this stuff is happening. Look at the news, look at the, social media and all this negative stuff." Then you talk about it, you recreate it. You're fanning it, you're recreating it. But if you turn that down or even off and check it when you believe you need to have a clue, but then you use love language. Then you use life inspiring and creating language. And then you use language of partnerships, of mastermind groups, of co-creating groups. Oh my God, you shift the energy. And our power is far beyond just the ability to act and take this step and do this particular thing after another. A lot of our power, in fact, the vast majority of our power, you can't even see. It is that heart mind connection. The mind is in every cell of the body and it vibrates outside of the body. The heart has so many connections. The brain itself, oh my God, what was I reading? I wanted to share that with you. And I think I closed the book. The brain itself has over 10 to 12 or 14 billion connections. The brain alone. We're not even talking about the mind because scientists still don't even know where the mind is. They don't even know that they fundamentally believe, some of them, that it doesn't even exist in the body. It's just temporarily occupied there in some space, but it's far beyond. We're incredible. Did you know that? You're incredible. So, how leaders level up? They learn. They learn continuously. They don't just stop. Oh, I got it. I got mine. Hope everybody's got theirs. I'm done. Well, the moment you stop learning, the moment you stop growing, the moment you have basically ceased to exist in terms of creating and co-creating. A leader is always in the act of creating and co-creating. How do you level up? You listen. You listen to understand. I know a lot of us, we're so busy trying to get our ideas across. We want people to know the power is not in letting everybody else know what's going on with us. The power first is listening to understand. Listening to understand. And then secondarily, as Kobe brilliantly conveyed, but people prior to Kobe and after Kobe said the same thing and do the same thing. And that was the magic of him. It's seeing the essence. When we listen to understand and we leverage that, more people are open to even hearing what we have to say. In fact, they will aggressively pursue us when we say, "Here's what I heard you say. And here's the value of that to the project we're working on. Here's how we can." Now, and the reality is, I think about us women, too many of us are in boardrooms, the few of us who are there. Too many of us are in teams of folks in our businesses, whether it's our own businesses or someone else's business, corporation or small business, or even in the political arena, in nonprofit arena. And we're saying things and no one's acknowledging it. And we know we said it. And if we ask someone, say, "Oh yeah, I heard it." However, when a male says it, or someone in so-called authority, a formal leadership role, or has reverence power says it, all of a sudden it's given credit. Don't worry about that. Leave it alone. People don't know how to honor you. The power is for you to honor you. So when you leverage your understanding of the other, whether it's the organization, the entire team, and you demonstrate the power of others, people want to hear you now. So it's not about manipulation. It's not about just plain old strategy. It's about fundamentally, if we understand that we're all one, if you understand the thoughts and the beliefs and the feelings of others really is an extension of self. I know they may be qualitatively different. You said, no way, that you've lost your mind. Just think about it. Suspend disbelief, listen to others, try to understand others, and it's powerful. Share with them what you know that you've understood. Ask them to validate it so that you're able to be in partnership and in support. And it's amazing. As you begin to share, people will hear. And yes, I know people will negate you because you fill in the blank. But that's not the setting you want to be in anyway. People will negate you because you did something great. That's not the setting you want to be in anyway. You do the best you can while you're there, and you move on to a setting, as someone said much more brilliantly to me when I was an undergrad over 40 years ago. Create the spaces that work for you. That's what effective leaders do. That's what leaders do who level up. They say, okay, let me assess the situation and let me contribute while I'm here. I'm going to function with full integrity. I'm all in until I'm not. If this environment doesn't work for me, then I'll find an environment that I can add more value or create the environment. Increasingly, more of us are doing that. And I encourage you to enhance your skills. First, recognize your strengths. That's what people who level up, they do an assessment. Where are my strengths? Not just what weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. Let's be very clear. And there's some weaknesses, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's irrelevant. What matters is what will enable you to experience that vision you have. What do you have to do to get there? And what talents do you have to have? Or what talents you need to leverage in order to get there? So some weaknesses you never need to worry about because they're not relevant. Others are. When you know what your strengths are, you're able to hone in. And then if you have the time, you can develop additional strengths that are necessary, or you can leverage others who have those skills, those talents. How leaders level up. They learn, they grow, they listen to understand, they assess their skills, enhance their skills through self-development, through team development, strategic thinking, being engaged in a way that's ethical and civic-minded. They also, as I said, they leverage constructive insights about themselves. They establish that personal vision, and then they ensure that that vision is real. They have a burning desire for that vision. They come up with whatever, even if it's a sketchy plan, because you don't need to know the big answer of how. When you have a big enough vision, you won't know how. And that's the brilliance of a big vision. If you know how, it's not a big vision. And what you do is you leverage, you allow the universe itself through the vibratory pattern of your burning desire, of the clarity of your focus, your unwavering thoughts, your thinking about it, to draw it to you. And before you know it, voila, what you've asked for. And let's be clear, a lot of you have asked for things and it showed up and you're like, how the heck did this person know? It's just natural, folks. Don't be surprised. We're always attracting. And so look around you. Who's around you? If you feel fortified, if you feel honored, if you feel supported, respected, you created that. If you feel that you are less than supported, you're harmed. Now, let me be very clear. Just because somebody went out and harmed you does not mean that you asked for that. Some people do, but most people don't. You put yourself in that environment where that could happen. So there's always some personal responsibility. And the question is, how can I have the right thinking, the right mindset to build? And I'm talking from personal experience. I purposely put myself in harm's way to save others. I had a brother tell me, you've lost your mind. Don't do that again, please. I didn't plan to do it. I did it because I'm wired that way. So I want to encourage you to be mindful of how you're wired, because how we're wired puts ourselves in the right situations to be able to leverage and be successful. It also, if we're wired in a certain way, can put us in other conditions that don't serve us. So be very conscientious about how you're wired. Why level up? Because we need new systems, folks. As a human species, we need new systems. We need to clean up the climate. I don't care what people say, it's all a hoax. And looking at scientific information that you can skew in whatever direction, we need to ensure that we take care of this planet. We need to ensure that we take care of the broader ecosystem that goes beyond this planet in the universe. We need to make certain that our thoughts, our wiring, our predispositions, our behaviors complement life itself. Humbly speaking. Now, I know there's a lot of folks around the planet that care less and say, you get yours, I'll get mine, because there's not enough for everybody. Well, when you recognize there's really enough and that we're always creating and we're in the act of co-creating with life itself, there's plenty. That's the magic, folks. When you're able to see, you realize there's enough for everybody. The fear that some people have is just that. And that fear leads to the things that we've experienced as devastating. The faith, oh my God, it opens up the vistas. It's incredible. Incredible. Unless that's what you experience all the time, you're like, oh, that's normal. And I'm so proud of you for those of you who choose to create and experience that all the time. Thank you for being a model for the rest of us. And I mean all of us, all billions of us, and then trillions of us, all life forms. Maybe more than just trillions. So, live, what am I talking about? Talking about profitable thinking. What am I talking about? New personal standards, always elevating your standards, your principles that guide you. Energy conservation. Don't just go out there and just be anything and everything to everyone, unless that's what you want to do in your life, and you can. When you're focused on a real big vision, you need to conserve that energy so that you have the staying power to actualize it. Otherwise, you might not even get close, or you might get close and be just shy of reaching that ultimate or actualizing that vision. Listen to your habits. Habit of mind, what you say, how you say it, how you feel. Your habits, wow, they're powerful. You have a mindset of X, but your habits are about Y. Let me tell you, you will never actualize X. The habits have to align with your Y, your big vision. Creative self-discipline. Revitalized imagination. Imagination is one of our most awesome tools. It's a mental faculty, just like intuition, just like reason, just like will, just like perception. We have these mental tools. And imagination, oh my God, it's powerful. It's the reason why I'm able to look into this camera, reason why I'm able to look at this all-in-one apple. I'm able to look at this, my goodness, light, have this to speak into. Someone imagine this. Things are always created twice, first in the imagination, and then we create it. And we typically don't create it alone. We do things in partnership. I know people are giving it, they're attributed, this person created the light, this person did. Usually when you get the real story, there are people who will never get the light of day, who were critical to that, who were part of the research team, who were so-called flunkies doing all the legwork, but they really had the science behind it. So whoever it was, all these folks who are creating that allowed us to be able to connect with each other across this planet, gratitude to them. They're a model to us to do the same thing and exceed that. Positive action. So what did I just reference? I referenced Dorothea Brande. Years ago, this woman wrote, "Wake Up and Live, a formula for success that works." I love just simple reading. You can read it in no time at all. She talked about the fundamentals of these, but there's so many people that we know in our personal lives that says the same thing. Watch what you say. Watch how you say. Watch how you feel, most importantly. In fact, how do you feel? Most of the time we ask people, what do you think? We rarely ask them how they feel. And what we know from text and research on the subconscious mind, most of what we do all day long is based upon our feeling mind, heart connection. And if we don't address that, we may have all this wonderful things on our short list and wonder why we never achieve those things, because we never made the connection. And she talks about the importance of making the connection in a more generic way. And then other people go more all in. So what do I mean by leverage? I mean, leverage yourself, your own capacity. Most people, we think leverage means leveraging someone else's money, leveraging someone else's ideas and expertise. Those things are important, without a doubt. If you're not able to understand how you leverage yourself, you'll come up short in leveraging others. It's not using others, it's leveraging. People who have already done what you want to do, done it well, they know the pitfalls, so they can help you guard against that. And then leveraging other people's money. So what is that? OPM, other people's money. Smart idea, strategic, tried and true. First, start with leveraging your own sense of self. Who are you? What is your big why for life? I remember asking a colleague of mine, actually a dear friend, it's like a sister. I said, she's going to retire in a couple of years. She's a medical doctor. I may have mentioned her before, but I won't mention her by name to honor her. What are you going to do when you retire? And she, on the phone, said, no one's ever asked me that before. This is what I want to do. It was brilliant. Create this magical, beautiful space for folks who would otherwise not have the resources they need in order to survive. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. It's awesome. And that came from a deep reflection about her legacy as a medical doctor for many, many, many years, and aiding and supporting and facilitating through being a professor at universities and on and on and on, and seeing patients and how they've come through and what support or not support. Deep reflection. When you go deep, you not only are able to get to that big why, you're able to understand and begin to assess your strengths. You deserve it. I know some of us have been told we're no good, we're not going to amount to anything. I get it. And it doesn't even matter what home you came from, whether it's ultra wealthy or whether it is literally dirt poor. Okay? I understand. The power is not in that message, that noise out there that tends to be in here. The power is in the deep feeling, and allow yourself to break through it. I know it will hurt, may feel like a knife going through your heart. Allow it, take it out. Allow yourself to go deep. And I know you want to be careful where you do it. Certainly not in a corporate setting, not in, maybe the environment will allow you to do it. Leveraging healthy means, practical means. If you can't do it yourself, reach out to a trained psychologist. I've done it. I think it's phenomenal. A trained psychiatrist, a trained counselor. If you need to do it, if you've got a mastermind group that you work with that is powerful and that they allow for a space like that because of their core principles, leverage it. Open up. Wow. All of us did that. If all of us did that, no, let's just say if 75% of us did that across the planet, we could even take 50%. Oh my God. Wars, we wouldn't tolerate them. Harming people just because we can, we wouldn't tolerate it. Drive-bys, we wouldn't tolerate it. Harming children because we can, we wouldn't tolerate it. Negating a person because we can, we wouldn't tolerate it. Negating voices because we can't, we wouldn't tolerate it. When we open up the heart and figure out why we got our mess, whether it's ancestral, whether it is through previous lives, or whether it is something that happened to us as children, or whether we just allow dark spirits to enter our space. And that's real, folks, real talk. We can free ourselves of that. When we know that, what did Maya Angelou say? When we know better, we're responsible for doing better. I just want us to understand the power of leveraging starts with the self. Leverage the self. You've got tools that you can't even imagine are helpful to not only you actualizing that big why when you know your big why, but being instrumental to others' life itself. And at the core, what is love? It's desire, it's faith, it's enthusiasm. What did we say in the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? We said it's also romance, it's hope, it's sex, and it's all of the stuff in a healthy way. And when we understand these aspects of desire, and there's all other adjectives we could use to describe love, that it's care, it's consideration, it's just openness. It's the opposite of fear. It is the opposite. Because what does fear do? It engenders jealousy. It engenders a sense of lack. There's embedded revenge and greed and hate and all that other nonsense. Enough of those negative words. Back to love. Unconditional care. Unconditional consideration. Faith. Seeing possibilities. You want to wake up and live. Because why? When I saw that little boy come out, first of all, I was like, my goddaughter, she didn't have enough space for that little thing to come out. And he came out. I was like, oh my God. And then I remembered my niece. That was Lynn. I remember Tamaki. And I remember going into her firstborn child and seeing this child and looking at my niece like, oh my God, how'd you do that? And then I saw my niece-in-law, Arlene, having done the same thing with her first. I was like, how'd you do that? And yet you women do it all the time. As painful and challenging, and some of it, like my sister-in-law, when she had Tamaki, she just ready to go home. I remember my brother saying, oh my God, that was so hard. I don't know what to do. I felt more pain than my wife, than her mom. Like, okay now. And I do understand. There's real pain sometimes when you're so connected. Emotionally, you feel, you take it on. I get it, although we laughed at him. Still do, but honor him deeply, respect him, love him. And yet that you can endure that kind of distress on the body to give life, to give a gift to life itself, to honor life itself. We can break through whatever challenges we have in the workplace, in our various environments, in our households, in order to live, in order to love more deeply, unconditionally, in order to, by necessity, leverage. So why are partnerships important to leveling up? I thought about that. I mean, there's a lot of textbooks on it, but let me just say, I love the idea of sharing lessons learned, of employing the practices of successful others. If they've done it, why try to recreate the wheel? If it works, if there's a system. What is my mentors? One of my mentors say? Save yourself time, energy, and money. System. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Thank you, Eric Olson. Grow base of influence in terms of your clients and your customers and the markets, because you're leveraging, right? You're building brand awareness. That's what happens with partnerships. You're improving the quality and effectiveness of your organization. There's so many other things I could say. You're brilliant. Those of you who are checking this out, wherever you're at in your different settings, you know a lot of this and so much more. And if you have any comments you want to add to share what you know, please feel free to do so. Accelerating progress is leveling up. That's what it is. You've got an idea, it's really important, it's going to literally make a difference to society or to a network or to an organization. Be authentic with it. Share it with people in a way you're able to hear them, listen to them, leverage what they have to say and their expertise to build on it, and in a loving way. Oh my gosh. And I say more than a few times, being caring and loving doesn't mean that you're hugging everybody or you're doing a kumbaya. There's nothing wrong with those things. I love hugging, and some of my family knows it, and they may say, "Oh, she hugs a little bit too long." um, and yet, it's more powerful than that. When you love, you may not ever meet the person, but you demonstrate it in terms of the quality of what you created that adds value to their lives. So, love it literally is that invisible and yet powerful in that it creates all the time. It creates products, it creates services, it creates context for people to feel like they can live, to actually give them the ability to live. I think about a gentleman when I was an undergrad. We did it for a short time. Wonderful, remarkable gentleman. And he decided he was going to leave the university before he completed to take advantage of being part of the Peace Corps. Very altruistic spirit, went to the continent of Africa. I remember him just feeling so alive that he was able to help villages and small towns create things. And then I remember thinking of a student of mine who went to another part of the world, South America, and helped them create means to for the local villagers to access water. And I can just think of so many people because of their love for humanity, chose to give of themselves. And it they weren't thinking about, how much money I'm going to make. And I mean, all of them have done well, but it's part of life. You give to life, it's like a boomerang. It's going to come back to you like you threw it out with greater force. So you give and you automatically are going to receive. So leaders who level up, they understand that core. And even if they don't understand, they allow themselves, they benefit from the gift of their giving, of their investing. Yeah. I was looking at some of these corporate partnerships. And so some of you know of these organizations like Uber and Spotify. So what did they do? They partnered, and so Uber created a soundtrack for your ride to make the whole experience much more complimentary. People want to take advantage of Uber. Nike and Apple, Pottery Barn and Sharon Williams. What did they do in 2013? They did a co-branding campaign of Color Your Room. There's much more to that. And GoPro and Red Bull, what did they do? GoPro equips athletes and adventures around the world with tools, funding to capture races, sports activities, etc. And what did Red Bull do? They sponsored those events. Well, their logo, their branding enhanced as a result of that. BMW and Louis Vuitton, what did they do? They're all about luxury. And so BMW with the vehicle, and Louis Vuitton with these high quality craftsmen like um, 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 bags of 20,000, 30,000, whatever. But the point is whether it is a corporate merger in terms of partnership, whether it's a set of individuals like you and I in partnership. I think about the colleague who came up with the title for me. I'd not heard it, like I said, years before, Level Up. Well, she worked in corporations for years, and she knew that she needed to level up. So she'd go from one role to the next role. Each role she leveled up, meaning that she had a increasingly more responsibility, more income, and she knew how to do that. And she could continue to do that. Something was missing. And at some point, we may have her on the broadcast, maybe in the years and months in the future. But she said she just needed to do something else. But it was always about leveraging, leveraging, leveraging. So she leveled up. She left the corporate environment, which people do, And she created an organization, which people do, running an entrepreneurial group. And what did she do? She leverages corporations that she knows very well and more. And what she also does is leverage universities, leverage community college, leverage community-based organizations to ensure that the vision that she has is actualized. Not only was it her vision that she literally went in and found in herself, she found that it was a shared vision. Other people had the vision. So she created partnerships as a result. Now the vision is being actualized where people get to experience it and then influence other organizations' visions. That's what we're talking about leverage in terms of leveraging. And I asked the question of myself, is leveling up a personal matter only? And I say it starts with the person. But I'm reminded of Price Pritchett's YouTube book. It's a very, not YouTube, excuse me, he authored the book U Squared. You can find some information on YouTube, I'm sure. And what does he say in that book? He really he magnifies the importance of leveraging. We know what we know, and we should be clear about what we want to do as part of our broader vision. The degree to which, though, we leverage others, it's like literally self squared. So whatever I can do on my own, I can do much more in partnership with others. And I've already mentioned Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and I mention him a lot because of the emphasis that he has on making decisions, being definitive in our purpose, and having courage. Courage. Living takes courage. Some people say, I never thought about that. I'm authentic. I'm me. I believe I got this life and I want to live every moment. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. Being in partnership, leveraging itself and others and things takes courage. Loving unconditionally takes courage until it doesn't, until it's just normal. We encourage you to be courageous here at Lead Live. You have the capacity to exceed even your high expectations. In fact, folks who have created, some of whom we know, because of are using their technology, are using their tools, are using their ideas, are using their ideals, had they exceeded their own expectations. And they had some things in common. They became what they thought about all day long. So many authors talk about that, the importance of what we think, and then, of course, what we feel. Those two are aligned, we're likely to actualize whatever we're thinking about. Remember, if we don't have a burning desire, a heartfelt connection to what we think, we're not likely to achieve it. The other thing they had was a great desire, a burning desire. They understood their why. They had a solid belief that they could achieve whatever it was that they could achieve. And even when they had doubt, they mustered through with this artificial belief, or they took the belief of somebody else and adopted it temporarily until it became literally so embedded. And what gets people to success is belief. So if you believe something, you're right. Doesn't matter what it is. If you believe you can, you can. You believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you don't know, you don't, and you don't. And you will never come to know until you believe you have the capacity to know, and then you go about knowing. We encourage you to believe that you can have a vision that is worthy of you. That's big. You don't even know the how to actualize it. We believe that you can leverage a growth mindset. And remember what that growth mindset is all about. What did we say some time ago? The power of the growth mindset. The hand that we're dealt is a starting point. Our true potential is unknown and unknowable. So let's just go for it. Setbacks are ideal opportunities for growth. Effort is what makes us smarter and better. Feedback is a powerful vehicle for self growth. That's part of the growth mindset we want you to remember. And so, as you remember also this leveling up formula of live, of leverage, of love, we also want you to know that never quit. And what was stated in Think and Grow Rich, but it just wasn't there. It was pre that book. And that book sold millions of copies, and it's made people, or they attribute their accomplishments to this book, millions of people across the globe. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. You know that. A quitter never wins. You quit. And you may quit for legitimate reasons, all rational reasons, and you're right. And then a winner never quits. He's right. Talked about unwavering courage, self-control, keen sense of justice, doing what's right, especially when no one knows, no one's looking. That's when you really know the essence of you. I like when I wash my face, I know who I am. And I know that I'm clean when I'm done. And it's not just because of the skin, it's because of what's inside. What a wonderful feeling when you know, you know. Definiteness of decision, definiteness of plans, habit of doing more than paid for, a pleasing personality, sympathy and understanding, mastery of detail, willingness to assume full responsibility, cooperation. That's part of that full package of a leader who leverages, who lives, who loves, who levels up. Remember, the greatest forces that exist are not tangible. We can't touch it. Can't see it. We can't smell it. Can't hear it. Can't taste it. And yet, when we understand it, we actually do hear, taste, smell, touch. The senses are alive to it. But we call them intangible because what is it? It's the subconscious mind. It's the creative imagination. It's the ability to leverage autosuggestion to catapult us to a place that we would otherwise not even be able to imagine until we do imagine. Thank you for listening, for receiving. There's so much more to this topic. And as I remind us of the importance of love, of leveraging, and living authentically now, take a screenshot of this if you think it will be helpful, and know the power that you have will just be honored through these texts. The first one, Acres of Diamond, I love it. It's just a short read. I should have had the book in here with me and in my studio, because it reminds us when we stop, we may literally just be acres away from the gold that we've been looking for. We may be feet away from the diamonds that we've been looking for. We may be literally around the corner from minerals that we supposedly have the expertise to judge. Well, let me tell you, each one of those scenarios are real. They occurred when people gave up. Those men gave up, and other people were able to take advantage of the wealth that they themselves arguably imagined. Man thinketh. I add to James Allen's statement, and it's a very short read. The same thing with Earl Nightingale's The Stranger's Secret. We think who we think we are, it's who we are. I add to that how we feel ensures that our thoughts are actualized. And then cybernetics. Maxwell Maltz, who literally was a plastic surgeon, did extraordinary things for the so-called stars in his day. and found that when they had their remarkable look, that everyone thought, oh my God, he did great work. And for an instant, they thought it was great, and then they went right back to where they were before. They didn't like the result. And he realized it was not about the outer, it was about the inner. So this book is really about how you take the science of the mind, and I think the heartfelt connection, and you literally rewire so you're aligned with the best of you. The magic of thinking big, another simple, masterful book. The power of your subconscious mind really illuminates what Maxwell Maltz really described. And then I've already mentioned Napoleon Hill's books and Price Pritchard's books, as well as Dorothea Brandis' book. These are just texts. If you have time, check them out or check some of them out. Engage, learn, grow, be your authentic self, and you may find the genius that literally resides within you is absolutely essential for the rest of us. Thank you for being you, the best of you, however you decide to be that you, because you're elevating the rest of us as a result. Adom. See you next week, Wednesday, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wherever you're at on the planet, we value you. And thank you. Thank you for being you.